Okay. Uh, it's good to be back again. We'll just go. Okay. Let's go. Okay. We're back now, and we'll just continue from where we stopped. Previously, I talked about who we are as TMI Africa, and I sent out that poll so that we'll select which is the best time for us to attend webinars, and I see that most people favor attending webinars at about 12 noon. So we'll continue with this same schedule that we've established, that was established today. Okay, yes, now that you can hear me, let's just go ahead. I will continue with, I will continue at this regular time that we've established today, and that's it. So going straight to the meat of what we have for today. We'll just talk about briefly about this. We have a maintenance and reliability masterclass that will be coming up 16th to 19th in Port Harcourt. And also after now, we'll also be having a similar session that will be taking place in Lagos. The session for Lagos will be 15th to 18th of March. We'll review the time. So please, if you are interested in this training or certification, please contact us or visit our website www.tmiafrica.org. Also of importance is our TMI breakfast meeting. TMI breakfast meetings are free events, and the venues will be, we'll let you know the venues when the date approaches. The next one for Port Harcourt is 20th of February, and it's at the Golden Tulip Hotel in GRA Phase 2 Port Harcourt. For Lagos, it's going to be at the Golden Tulip Hotel also, airport, along Murtala Mohammed Way Airport. So plan to attend any of these events. They are free events, and they will definitely be useful to you. Another free event that you can leverage is the ongoing virtual conference. Instead of, you don't have to register, spend any money or travel or go anywhere. You can attend this strictly on the web, and it's the Solutions 2.0 virtual conference. So the link is there. Just copy out the link, or you visit our website, and then from there you can register for these events. These events will definitely contribute to the knowledge you have. Today, the major topic we're looking at is the sure bet to improving plant reliability in 2016. And I'm sure many people are eager to learn how they can make this happen, especially given given the situation in the industry today, the plunging price of oil in the industry, and how people will definitely want to know how they can become profitable as organizations also, and even what individuals can do to make their organizations profitable. So that's basically the crux of what we want to look at today. And sorry to have taken your time because of this little challenge I had with my internet connection here. So first of all, reality check. As at this morning, the price of oil per barrel was $30.14. This at 9:45 a.m. this morning. The cost of production for Nigeria per barrel of oil is about $34. So you can see that we are already running at a loss. And this is not constant for all countries. The countries in the Middle East, they spend far less. So somehow they are still being profitable, and that's why they can chunk up, still continue pushing lots of oil. For many countries in Africa and all over the world, for many countries, oil is the major economic driver, either directly uh, as producers of oil or indirectly as consumers of oil. And because of this plunge in the price of oil, one of the things we notice is there's massive downsizing in jobs. Last year, between Halliburton and Baker Hughes alone, they downsized about 27,000 of their staff. And right here in Nigeria, where we are, we see companies downsizing. Last year, we see downsizing in companies like Shell. We've seen downsizing in companies like Chevron, and Schlumberger is downsizing. A couple of other companies are downsizing, and this is hitting the economy seriously. And the pressure is to drive down the cost, the operating costs, like I showed us earlier, so that companies can become competitive and profitable at the same time. And as individuals within this profession, as maintenance people, uh, this is where we come in. Uh, we as maintenance people should be able to bring our own expertise to bear in helping the company bring down the cost of production so that the company can be competitive and profitable, and also so that we can also retain our jobs. Now, this is one of our key slogans in TMI Africa, and that is none of us is as smart as all of us. And there is an important reason for this. By the time we put our collective knowledge together, we will definitely be better off. But the reason we have this this slogan here is simple. We know that the initiatives we are going to discuss today, if you decide that you want to go it on a solo road, you want to be the champion, you want to be the best man in the company, you might not necessarily be able to make the amount of difference that you could make if you carry your entire team along. So now you can't be smarter than the entire organization. So let's put that as the back of our mind as we go through the uh, presentations with the slides for the remaining part. Now, primarily, what's our job as professionals in this industry? Like I said a couple of days back, that as engineers, as people, as employers of engineers, or as people that have one thing or the other to do with the engineering industry, uh, we do some form of maintenance. And maintenance basically addresses three areas: either to eliminate failures, to predict failures, and or prevent what failures in order to maintain the design reliability of a process or piece of equipment. That is what any maintenance strategy is based around. We put a combination of tasks together in order to achieve these three goals. No matter what you do as a design engineer, you design a plant that has to be maintainable, a plant that has to be reliable. If you are into predictive technologies in your workplace as maybe one of the technicians or engineers, this is the summary of what we do. So I just brought this is in here to just remind us to put a background to what we're about to discuss. Now, two slides away, I told us about reality check, what the problem is, what we suffer, and how can we, what can we do? What can we do? Our focus obviously should be what we can do to drive down maintenance costs, what we can do to increase uptime. If we increase the availability and uptime of our equipment, it means we can produce more, and we can produce more, there is the chance that we'll be more successful. It doesn't mean you work in oil and gas alone. Uh, at the end of the day, any industry you belong to somehow benefits from that. And since our economy is a lot oil based, whatever happens actually boils down to what happens in your industry. So we want to increase reliability, we want to reduce waste, we want to keep staff motivated, we want to stay competitive, and we want to do this at zero additional cost to the organization, not to ask for big budgets, but at zero organizational costs. So this is the primary focus of what we want to achieve. So keeping this at the back of our mind, what can we do? Now, this is one of the important processes I think we could utilize to be able to stay productive, to be able to achieve these things that I mentioned here to drive down costs. And it's basically the continuous improvement tools. And for continuous improvement tools, the stress, if you want to do it right, the main thing is creativity over capital. It's not about spending money. It's not about getting new technologies when obviously there's a cash issue in the country or wherever you are, where the economy is dwindling. It's not about capital. It's about creativity. And creativity doesn't come from technology. Creativity comes from people. So for us to be able to achieve our goals that we have set, which we set in the previous slide to drive down maintenance costs, we as individuals, as maintenance professionals, as asset management professionals, as even operators, we must think of creative ways in order to make this happen. Because in order to make this happen, those that will be involved has to be people that understand the process, you understand the product, and you understand the need. So if you know what the goals of what your company, what you produce, let's say for example, you are into your company produces milk, that is the need. That is what the customer needs. You know the product milk, you know the constituents of milk, you know the entire process that goes into the value chain of producing milk. It is somebody like that that can find creative ways in which we can produce milk at a reduced cost and yet still maintain the same quality. The outcome is obviously, like I said, improvement ideas that will benefit both us as individuals and benefit the, the company at large. Now, what is it going to take us to initiate any of these continuous improvement initiatives? What is it going to take us? For the purpose of this presentation, for the limited time we have, we will be looking at basically two parts. This is part one, and then there's a second part, which is part two. And all of them are actually contained within this slide. So number one, I talked about creativity as a tool in continuous improvement as the main driver of every continuous improvement project. The first thing we want to look at is how we can use creativity to eliminate waste. And when we eliminate waste, what's the next thing we do? Okay, how can we establish flow? How can we utilize the time, the resources that we create by eliminating waste? And also, what can we establish to make sure we don't fall back and lose the gains we have? But primarily, the creative mind must also be a mind with an eye, with vision to be able to see waste and how and creative ways of eliminating it. Now, some people will say, am I not talking about a concept called lean? I'm sure a lot of us have heard about this concept. But again, this concept has been used wrongly a whole lot of times. People see the lean process as staff reduction. Okay, now lean actually is a way of thinking, and what it simply means is we want to do more with less. Less human effort, less equipment, less material, less time, and less space. But a lot of the time, the focus is wrongly on less human effort, and people interpret less human effort as cutting down on staff strength. Cutting down on staff strength is not the solution to any of the problems we face. Okay, you cut down on staff strength, you save a few bucks in salaries of and allowances you need to pay that person. You overwork the remaining staff you have, and at the end of the time, in the long run, it doesn't profit you because at the end of the day, you might probably start looking for people to employ again, and things will start going wrong. So less human effort means you want to use the creativity of staff to reduce the effort you put into certain activities, and the time you recover, you utilize in a different way to continuously improve on the process. The purpose of every continuous improvement initiative, every lean initiative, all the creative initiatives we're going to look at is the pursuit of excellence. The pursuit of excellence. Now, in this pursuit of excellence, we're not going to make use of our gut feeling or hunches. We're looking at fact-based improvement propositions that we could sit together at the table, look at from the customer's perspective, and see how we can eliminate waste and non-value adding processes to create value for the company. I'll give an example to like the one I mentioned earlier, that okay, the company produces milk, right? And in producing milk, as a knowledgeable person, we know the entire value chain of producing that milk. And because we understand the entire value chain, we decide to undergo on the link project. We could sit down and use the judgment, look at our production reports, look at our failure reports, look at our historical data, and say, okay, we noticed that matching A, let's say we have a process line of four stages that we have to go through before milk comes out. But let's say step one, matching A takes 28 things at a go. The next process takes 14 things at a go, and the final process probably takes 28 things at a go. What happens? We find out that, let's say, in the middle process, because that one takes limited number, that is a bottleneck. Okay? And if you look at that bottleneck, as a creative person in the company, you can look at what can we do? Okay? What can we creatively do to make sure we don't waste time? Because if we finish from the first machine, the last machine has to keep waiting until it receives the required number before you can proceed. How can we eliminate that time spent? What can we do differently to make sure we have a smooth flow and eliminate that wasted time is wasted man hour, and it's idle time for that machine doing nothing. How can we eliminate that and make and create value? Okay, we can't eliminate it by sacking one person, no, but we can look at alternative ways of making it work. Do we want to have one piece flow? What or is there a way we can restructure, rearrange the machines in the workshop such that we reduce the problem of batching? Okay, we reduce that time wasted. There are ways we could look at it, and for people that have knowledge in that, you can, if that's the kind of industry you fall into, we can look at that and look for creative ways to solve that problem and again create what value. The main focus of lean programs is majorly to eliminate waste, is to do things right, to do the right things right the first time. So the focus, eliminate waste, non-value adding processes, and do the right things right the first time. Now, as maintenance professionals, we might be thinking that if you go online on the internet and you look at lean processes, you're going to see lots of different kinds of examples there to tell you of motion and all that. But let's bring it down to maintenance and see, okay, since the focus of lean is to eliminate waste, what kind of waste do we see in maintenance? We use the acronym downtime to try to represent this. One, we see defects which impact on asset health. The more defects we have, the more downtime we are going to have. The more defects we have, the more unreliable our plants will be. The more defects we have, the less uptime we have. And the less uptime we have, the less productive we're going to be. The less productive we are means the less profitable we're going to be. And because if we have too many defects that impact on our asset health, what happens? Staff start working overtime. So what do you see? Staff working overtime, asset health is poor. Because staff working overtime, they will be stressed. The company will have to pay them extra for producing less. We see work execution delays, issues with planning and execution. We we can't do the required maintenance work because operation says they want to produce maximally. And if they produce maximally, before you know, the equipment might eventually break down. Non-value adding PM tasks. I've seen this time and time and time again. Okay? You have PM tasks that people go to perform that they don't necessarily add any value. For example, you hear of I've been where they do one monthly task on lighting system. And on that lighting system, you don't necessarily need to do much. The person might just go there, switch on the light, oh, it's working, he goes back and it's done. That doesn't necessarily add value. That is basically a waste of time and waste of resources. Technology underutilization, that's more of a problem. Okay, let's take an office situation. Instead of having a singular network printer and everybody connected to the network printer, you have a printer somewhere. Instead, you have printers on everybody's desk. Okay, and that means you buy 10 printers in one office instead of having one printer to 10 persons. That is, you are not utilizing available technologies. And apart from that, as maintenance professionals, we see this time and again. Okay, and this affects what we do. You have a wrench. The manufacturer said giving you the torque to which to tie a bolt, but because you don't have a torque wrench, you use your hammer, you over tie that bolt or that nut, and before you know, you start creating problems at the end of the day. Inventory over ages. Inventory, yes. We go into our storehouses, we see equipment that have been lying there for the past 10 years and they have not been used. Some of them don't even apply. Some of them have stayed in our stores until they are now obsolete and we have to dispose them. That is waste of resources. Material defect. Defect. If a material is defective, any process you use that material for automatically will become what? Defective. Errors in process, people, and procedures. This is very common. There is a survey that says that's not. If you check on the internet, you actually get that detail that says 84% of defects and failures are actually human related. So we can see that the humans are actually the weakest link in the chain of our activities as maintenance professionals. So humans are 84 times more likely to cause defects in a process than actually machines will do. Okay, so these are waste areas to see in maintenance. This is not necessarily all encompassing. So you can actually look at ways of applying this in your own area. Are you a design engineer and basically you design errors? Any error in your design is going to be translated to the plant and is going to be translated to construction, and that will become headache for the people that will maintain the plants down the line. Now, what are the lean principles that we can use to help us eliminate this waste? This is the basically standard lean principles. One, we need to identify the value we want to add. Let's say, for example, our cycle time for a given process in our industry or in our company or in our design is let's say we spend 5 hours cycle time to produce a single thing of milk. We can set a target and say we want to reduce that time to 4 hours. Now, having set that target, the next step would be what we call value stream mapping. We want to look at the entire value chain from start to finish. What does it take to produce one tin of milk? Now, looking at that entire process, we want to see where the loopholes are and then eliminate those loopholes and reduce that cycle time. Once we've been able to draw the value stream on paper, we want to create the flow and you implement and you create the flow and see how it works. Okay, when that works, we see establish a pull system. A pull system is I don't produce a tin of milk until required. Okay, that's a typical example of a pull system. I don't produce a tin of milk until required. So instead of me to produce and I have a warehouse that is filled up with 20,000 cartons of milk, wasting the space, wasting the time I spend for paying rent. If I don't sell that 20,000 tins of milk in time, they might maybe get to their expiry date and become waste. I can establish a pull system where my client tell me I need 20,000, and because all the materials are ready, I tell him I will deliver in 1 week, and in 1 week I have the plan to produce it. Then also we seek to improve, seek to perfect. It's just a cycle. It's not a chain event. It's a cycle. You continue until you get perfection. There are few tools that we could use to actually achieve this lean process. And here are some of them. I've spoken of value stream mapping. There is the popular 5S. A simple 5S, you'll be amazed at what a simple 5S will do for you. There is the poker yoke. The poker yoke is error proofing. How can you make a system where nobody can make a mistake? I can give you a typical example. The 3-pin plug that you use for your and the 3-pin socket that you have is actually makes use of the poker yoke system, which is error proof. There's no way if you turn the plug the other way, it will fit into the socket. It is error proof. That is the poker yoke system. There is the Kaizen system, which is brainstorming. You and your colleagues come into the room and brainstorm and see how to internally solve a problem. There's process mapping, which is similar to value stream mapping. There's one piece flow. Okay, so one piece flow basically stop the problems of you have with batching. One machine, you see inventory stored and stored and stored before you can go to the next step. There is the single minute exchange die, and this is already available in a lot of companies where you see instead of having bolts that you have to lose, you have fasteners. So especially in the manufacturing sector, you open the fasteners, you place your where you have to change dies or you have to change equipment. Fasteners are replacing bolts and nuts to reduce the time so that in less than 10 minutes you should be able to change to the next process you want to make use. Then there's standardized work, use of SOPs. And there's the Kanban system. The Kanban system is a full system I explained earlier. And there is also the workplace setup. You will be amazed at what shifting a machine to the right and shifting the other one to the left would do for you in the workplace to save time, to save effort. Now, I'm just going to focus a little bit on the VSM, which is the value stream mapping. That's what I want to focus on, which is the first step. All these are important steps, but we can actually break them down. For what value stream mapping simply does is this: it highlights the areas in which we need further improvements in the system. Now, I'll explain value stream mapping using a diagram after this. And now, once we do that, what we do is this: you get a board and you highlight the entire process from start to finish. Let me use a typical example. Changing the tire of your car. Let's say that is one of the duties we do as maintenance. And let's say I usually spend 2 hours to change the tire of my car. And for my team now, we said, okay, we want to reduce that to 1 hour. What can we do? I can get a team into the room of 2, 3, 4, 5 persons that has everything to do with changing that tire. And then we'll write every singular step by step we use in changing that tire from the beginning to the end. Okay? We'll write it down and see the whole process. And we'll write the time allotted. There is the value time, the range time, the time you actually spend. And there is the wasted time you spend doing other things. So when we write the time for each process, we look at what is necessary, what is not necessary. For example, I get the range from the tool shed, right? And I get to the tire. By the time I loosen the bolts, I'll drop the bolts, I'll remove the tire, I'll roll it about 25 meters to maybe the shed. I'll roll another one from the shed down to where I need to change the tire. And you see, I look at that entire process, and then after looking at it, we look, how can we change this? Okay, can we have a tire changing kit present at where we change tires, such that by the time I lose the first bolt, from till the time I lose the first bolt to when I replace the tire, I don't have to move anywhere from that place. That will save time. Okay. There are various ways we can achieve that. There is the two-piece system. There's the rapid improvement events, or the 5S. But importantly, like I said, it shows you end to end of the entire process, and then you can see where the problem is and also how you can create value. This is a typical example of a VSM system, okay? And you can see the entire process. Uh, Supplier brings the materials, you see the machine, you see the entire process as it goes, you see inspection, you see packaging, you see shipping, you see it goes back to the customer. So now within this process, you see everything that is done daily. Now these 5 activities are done daily. Okay, the supplier supplies on a weekly basis. Now by the time we look at these activities, you know, okay, you can see here, you see the uptime for each of them has already been calculated. Okay, uptime here is at 87%. Uptime here is at what, 99%. That means this honing period is almost as good as perfect. Okay, now uptime here is at 80%. Uptime here is at 99%. 99%. So from this value stream now, we can say that the two areas where there are issues is one, at the entry point, where the first machining that takes place. That is where a lot of the time is what wasted. The cycle time here is at 44 seconds, but the actual operating time is just 13 seconds. Okay, and if we come here again at this stage, we'll find out that this is another place where we have lots of time also. You see, this uptime here is at 80%. So if we're looking to sort this out, these are the two areas we can look at and see how to to how to work on this value stream. Now, not looking at an example from the internet, I can also show you another example. Okay, another example I can show you here is this is a practical example. I did this personally myself. It's not the same thing as what you see, not very clear, but you can see I had a permit to work system that's got like 17, I mean how many steps. You can see it in the value stream map I did at the book. This is the flow chart of the entire process from start to finish. On these papers at the bottom, I've recorded my cycle time and the total amount of time uh, spent in the process. Okay, and right at the bottom, what I've drawn here is almost like what we call a spaghetti diagram. How many movements I have to make from one office to the other to get approval for a simple thing as a permit from the beginning to the end. And now by the time I improved the process, okay, look at what I came up with. You can see that with this simplified diagram, my cycle time will definitely reduce by a great deal. I don't have the finished work of the main flowchart diagram on here, but from this spaghetti diagram, you can see that the process is greatly simplified. And now, by the time I present this process, it's going to be a simpler process, and obviously, I would have been able to save some time. I'm making use of very simple examples here, but the point is, if you understand the principle, you can sit back and apply it to almost anything in your life. Almost anything in your life. It could be the way you go to work, the route you pass to work every day. It could be the design you do at your desk. It could be the way you manage your staff. It could be the way you manage your maintenance process. Anything you could apply these processes to, and it will definitely be useful. So here is basically a summary of how you can go lean with your maintenance procedure. Uh, First of all, you have to identify the process. You can make use of BSM, process plots, Six Sigma processes to do this. You have to identify waste. Waste are actually non-value added processes and tasks. You have to convert that waste to value added work, or you eliminate the waste completely. You have to document the new processes. It's important to document it and have SOP, standard operating procedures, for the new processes that you've documented. And also continuously improve. You don't stop. you continuously improve the process. Means you have to manage it daily, you have KPIs for it, you have visual displays for it, and also monitor progress. You can monitor progress using statistical process control charts so that you will know when you are leaving your safe zone, or when you are leaving the set limits. For maintenance, we look at MTBF, mean time between failures for our equipment. When we are doing this process, we expect our mean time between failures to increase. Our equipment shouldn't be failing often, and also mean times to repair to reduce. It means I don't have to spend so much time to reduce to repair, because one, my failures will reduce, and two, I would be equipped to attend to any failures immediately. That was part one. Part two is deals with for part two, our focus will be on data. Now, in many companies, there are a plethora of data that we take every day in many companies, and a lot of the time, this data is just sitting there. But what is this data telling us? There are lots of things we could benefit if only we can look at data in the right uh, way. According to Edward Demings, who's one of the fathers of continuous improvement processes, he says, "In God we trust, all others must bring what? Data." So you don't go to your boss and say, "We need to do this, we need to do that," just based on a hunch or gut feeling. But no, you can take decisions, fact-based what? Decisions that will help. Now, data sources. For companies that have advanced in maintenance management systems, we'll have CMMS, which is computer maintenance management systems. This could be SAP, it could be Maximo, it could be any other processes you could use. If you're not using any of these processes, we have daily reports, maintenance reports, we have shift reports. There we have overhaul reports. For companies that have gone ahead to implement things like RCM, we should have failure mode and effect analysis. Even if you have not done this, for each equipment you have, the manufacturers, some of these manufacturers actually do failure mode and effect analysis. And if we go and look at that document, we will see the way in which this equipment failed. And if we see it and know the trend, that will help us in taking active decisions before this equipment fails, and in helping us select the right kind of maintenance to do. We can look at production data and also trends and use that to guide us. Now, what actions do we take? We use the typical continuous improvement model or improvement cycle. We got this diagram for linkage. You see, it's just a 4 stage. Sometimes it's you call it the plan, do, act, check cycle. Okay, but first of all, you have to identify, again, like we did talked about in the link process, identify the opportunities. Okay, identify the opportunities. First of all, if you don't have a goal, let's imagine a football match. If there's no goal post, there's no point coming to the pitch to play football. The aim of playing any football match is to score a goal. If there's no goal post, there's no point coming to the pitch in the first instance. So you cannot improve what you don't know about. Okay, first of all, we have to look at what are the opportunities present first. And when we identify the opportunities, what's the next thing? We see how we now think of how can we improve the process in order to achieve our goal, in order to reap the benefits of these opportunities. We implement the changes and also we review the changes. It's a cycle we continue until we get to perfection. So looking at data, what do we do with data? Some people will ask me. What I will advise at this time, especially at this critical time, is you can go back to your data. If you are making use of CMMS, that's pretty easy. Just export that data to Excel. Once you export that data to Excel, the next thing you want to do is uh, you review that data. Okay, review your maintenance data for the last 3 years. Identify trends. When you review this data, you'll be able to see uh, what your failure pattern is. You'll be able to see the equipment that fail the most. According to, if you utilize the Pareto principle, for example, the 80-20 principle, it means very simple. 80% of your failures come from about 20% of your equipment. So 20% of your equipment will be responsible for 80% of your failures. So just imagine that you are able to get hold of that 20%. Obviously, your uptime will go up very well. And obviously, as soon as your uptime goes up, it means availability will increase and also productivity will increase and also reliability. So when you identify the outliers, the main causes of your failures, okay, you want to draw a structured program, okay, to see how to prevent the failures, not how to repair the failures, but how to prevent them. This could include material, it could include planning and scheduling, it could include getting some authorizations to do some corrective maintenance work early on. But by the time you review your maintenance data, you'll probably look at the failure and do your analysis using Pareto. You could and then you get this 20%. You look at the OEM data, you look at the failure modes, you look at how to address the failure modes, you look at what you can change to make sure those equipment don't fail, and then you draw out a structured program aimed at preventing this failure. When you draw out that program, you don't want to draw out the program and keep it in your drawer. When you draw out this program, you want to publish this plan. And it's not for one person, it's an inclusive team. You do this with your team so that everybody is carried along for each step. It becomes like a covenant. Everybody agrees to it. And once everybody agrees to it, you publish this plan so that you can see it and you can hold yourself what? Accountable. Outsiders can see it and they can hold you what? Accountable. Then you set timelines, okay, for yourself. In 3 months, this is what you want to do. In 6 months, this is where you want to be. And in 12 months, this is where you want to be. The normal saying there is that when you cannot measure, you cannot what? Improve. So you must implement the measures you've put out. You must monitor the progress. It means even though you've collected data to use in identifying these culprits, right? You must keep collecting data to measure and monitor what? Progress. Some of the lean tools we've looked at earlier can help you. You can use the 5S processes, you can use the value stream mapping, you can use the 2P processes, you can use the RIE processes, you can use, and it depends on what is applicable to you. You can utilize any of those lean process. And if you need to learn more about them, just going on the internet, check on YouTube, you'll see videos that explain these processes, or you can actually still contact us to learn more. You must measure the process, like I said, and also continually improve on the process. Now, as soon as you deal with your first 20% of corporate, it doesn't mean you will stop. Okay? You move on to those that are less critical, because those that are less critical today can become your biggest culprits tomorrow. So you move on to those that are less critical, and then that cycle what continues until you're able to eliminate every defect. What will happen is this: in the long run, within a year or two, the level of your failures will drop so much that what you will now be doing is utilizing the time and less effort you have, the time you have for what? For predictive purposes. You understand? You're not going to go and sleep because your uptime is good. You now have a reliability of like an uptime of like 99%. Production is good. If you leave it at that, it's going to start dropping. So you now go further in a continuous improvement chain to see what can be done to sustain what you have attained. That is where your effort will now be instead of on reactive work. Now, these two processes I've talked about today, the lean processes and the use of data, okay, as tools for increasing reliability in this calendar year, as we put the timeline, is what it does is this: it enhances your knowledge. It means because you want to do this, you go and study and try to know more about these processes. You will look at your data, you'll learn more about your equipment, you learn more, and if you study and you know more, obviously you are going to grow. Team synergy. Because you do this together with your team, it means your team will be much more willing. They'll get ownership. They'll want to go along with any initiative you come up with. And when you do that, there's less resistance, there's less laxity, and also there's team confidence is built up because they're able to achieve something together as a team. There's increased uptime at the end of the day. You go lean. This will eventually reduce your maintenance cost, your maintenance budget. This will help and reduce your operating cost at the end of the day. This will improve your return on investment. And if as a team you work this way, obviously your employers will definitely be happy. And obviously they won't be looking at the route of having to sack staff. Instead, they'll be looking at how to encourage you to do more, because then what they will see is their assets will not be the equipment in the company. Their major assets will be the people, because the people exhibit the right uh, the right attitude. So I just hope that if we apply these little processes, we will at the end be able to make a difference in wherever we find ourselves this year, so that by the end of 2016 we should definitely have been able to achieve a few things uh, in our companies, and also uh, be able to show and share that result with our team members, and also maybe in our next thing, one of our forums at the end of the year, be able to come back and say, okay, we learned from this and this and this, and this was what we and our team were able to achieve. So thank you so much for your time. If you still want to reach us for more resources, go to our website www.tmiafrica.org. We have a lot of resources that can help you there. We have lots of articles that are there. And earlier, you can, if you want to reach me personally, that's my email address, jonathan@tmiafrica.org. If you want us to come and teach some of these principles in your company, we are available for training, for certification purposes, for structured staff development. We are available to do that. And please don't forget to register for our maintenance and reliability masterclass plus CMRP certification. The CMRP certification is the most prestigious certification for any maintenance and reliability professional right now on the globe. And I can assure you that our prices are pretty low, and they are the cheapest in the market as we speak, because our aim is basically to make sure we make every single professional the best he can be, so that you can go to the US anywhere and then you can beat your chest, and then you know you are a global professional. Okay, that's for our maintenance reliability class. For Harcourt, 16th to 19th, Lagos, 15th to 18th, and 20th February is our breakfast meeting at Golden Chili. It's free of charge. We'll be discussing on a very important topic on that day. You just come, you spend 2 hours with us, and we connect together, we share, and we are there to listen to you. If you have pressing problems at your place of work that you want us to look at, just email me and we can set up a discussion around that. To learn more also this year, so that we can grow and advance, there's this Solutions 2.0 virtual conference. This actually used to be a live conference that takes place in the US, but this year it's going online. So make sure you join, you register on this link that is displayed, and join the conference. What they've done with the conference, they split the conference into webinars for the entire year. They've already held one already in January. I think there's still going to be another one on the 22nd. So register for Solutions 2.0. The people that produce this conference are basically very good friends of TMI Africa. And I believe when you join, I myself I'll be joining, you'll learn more, and then you can now contribute much more valuable, you add more value to the company where you work. So that has been that's our time for today. Thank you for being part of this webinar. You've selected that the best time for this webinar is 12 noon, which is basically your lunch period. Sorry to have overshot the time by a few minutes because of the little network hitch we had earlier. And if this webinar is recorded, so just expect to get a copy of this webinar at the end of today. At the end of today, will this webinar will be available to you, so you can go back, watch this video, share it with your team, and also please go to our website tmiafrica.org, and also you can go there and register so that you can receive our newsletters, and then you can develop yourself from there. So thanks for your time. That's all for us for today. We'll see you either at our training or at our next webinar. Thank you and have a great day. Thank you. Bye.